Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Mrs. 4 here. Today I'm back with a standard deck profile finally. I don't really like standard, but I'm gonna do one and a few more soon, hopefully. So this is my Scarlet deck Coco deck profile, Scarlet Witch Coco deck profile. I actually built this deck many months ago. I think I easily built this 6 months ago plus, but I did not dare to do a deck profile because I didn't manage to test this deck a lot. But recently I have, and I was shocked at the results after doing a bunch of tweaks here and there. This is a budget deck, so you won't see stuff like draw PGs because I'm too poor to afford that. But anyways, one of the main reasons why I decided to release this video is after this deck managed to beat this new deck called Brand Messiah, and it's really gay of a deck, but I beat it. So after I beat it, I was shocked, and everybody was like, "Oh, you know, Brand Messiah is a wins tournaments and stuff." I was like, "Oh, okay, so this deck is pretty good then." So I decided to do the deck profile for this. First off is for Scarlet Witch Coco. The first skill is when placed on top of a grade 2, draw a card. So it does have a first right ability. Second ability is Counter Blast 1, Soul Blast a grade 3, draw 2 cards. Then throw as many witch cards as you want from your hand out to the drop zone and replace them with Imaginary Gift Protect. Now, it does not specify what Protect, so you can choose Protect 1 or Protect 2. But because this is supposed to be a defensive deck, we always pick Protect 1. So just keep stacking your Protects. Literally, that's how you win this deck. This deck strictly runs around with Coco just to keep stacking Protects and to block all the attacks. And I know a lot of you are thinking, if this is a deck that focuses so much on its Imaginary Gift, it must surely lose to Excel, since Excel is the natural counter of Protect. Wrong. You see, you don't really have to fall into that category all the time, because this deck is all about resource management. As cheap and as budget as it is, if you play well with your resources, you can easily top most decks, because there is a solution to most problems in this deck that it provides. Like I said, this is a defensive deck. It's not really much of an offensive deck. There are some cards in here that help you with the offense, but other than that, you mostly just want to stay alive. Other cards in the grade: 3 Wisteria with Zozo, and 2 Oracle Guardian Bia. So I'll explain the choices for both. So as you can see, we play 9 grade 3s here. First with Zozo. Or actually, I must as well go through Zozo and Bia. Bia is giftless and it has a rear guard skill, so you know for a fact that this is a beater. Zozo is here because she can turn your Protects into an offensive measure. Even with a Ramshackle board, even if it's, let's say, been poked over with Narukami, let's say Detonix or something, poked over, or your front row, and you still have a decent 2 back row cards, or just 1 even. If you have multiple Protects in your hand and you've been setting up for this about a turn or 2, you can now plus your front row with 5k for each Protect you have. So her skill is when she attacks, so she has to be the first attacker, you reveal as many number of Imaginary Gift Protect from your hand, which you don't really have to reveal because your opponent knows they're there. And then for every one that you show, or basically all you have in your hand, your front row gains 5 for each. So if you have, say, 2 to 3 Protect, then you're gonna plus 15 to the front row for free, which is insane. And this is, mind you, a Protect clan. This is not even false, and you'll be able to hit high numbers if you, like I said, plan ahead of your turns. The other skill is when Vanguard or Rearguard, when the attack hits, drop. So that's neat. Bia's skill is a real beater. For every card in your hand, it gets 2k when it attacks. So this is one of the main ways you raise insane amounts of power, and you don't really, and it's a Rearguard, so you can still play this while you have Coco around, and you don't have to think, oh, I have to write this because, you know, grade 3 that I can Soul Blast and use with Coco. No, because this deck, it synergizes well, and you see what I mean, that you can focus this card strictly for offensive purposes. Be careful when playing though, because like I said, if you're playing against something like Narukami and you know they will target your front row, then time your placement carefully. Stuff like Blade Master, anything that retires or binds, especially those that target your board. Then be careful with your placement, and your timing of placement is very important. Know their decks and know when to do it. Topaz Witch Mimi or PP, I don't really know the name. Skill is while you have 4 more cards in your hand, which you should have most of the time, it gains +2. And then in the Soul, when rolled upon, Soul Blast 1, draw a card. I like to remind everybody that you can Soul Blast this card out herself. Because you pay the cost, it doesn't have to be throughout the entire resolution phase. You can keep her out of Soul, just Soul Blast herself and draw. That is okay. Really, 10k beat sticks is not much impressive. Yeah, 10k, that's good and all, but there's not much to it. Mainly, she's here for two things: the witch name, and the fact that she can help you draw insane amount of cards during your first grade 3 ride. Because if you per se ride with Coco, and with on top of her, you get to draw 2 cards for free just by riding, and of course the protect. And that's only the first turn, and then you see what happens when you put Coco on top of Coco, and then Coco on top of Coco, and then Coco on top of Coco, and you get to draw a lot of cards, and you'll just win due to the defensive measure. Honestly, if this card becomes irrelevant, just use it for protects, use it for your perfect guards. You don't have to use this on the board as a beat stick. It's definitely not meant for that. So that's basically it. This is the main right target for the deck. Speaking of witches, Yellow Witch Mimi, from the very first set, her skill has literally nothing to do with the witches. She just happened to have the name Witch, and so she's in here. When placed, look at the top card and put it back on top or on the bottom. Now, I know it's really random, and a lot of people when building Coco decks, they either do one, they focus on insane attacks, so they use stuff like the Bell Sister to get 10k the crit, the promo, when you have 10 or more cards in hand. That's good and all as a beat stick, but has anybody remembered that 10 or more cards in hand is extremely hard? I hope so, because everybody seems to forget that part. And the second thing of all is, what happens when you actually have to write that card? You can't have 10 or more cards in your hand on turn 3. And I don't know if anybody's realized this or not, and those are some flaws I have with the more popular Coco deck list. I know a lot of people say, you don't have to worry about the witch subclan. You don't have to worry about maximizing it. That's the wrong decision. Well, yes, it is the wrong decision. I thoroughly agree with that. But I still think this card does have some relevance. Checking the top card is a neat little inclusion for, I think, any Oracle Think Tank deck, since this is mainly prevalent to Oracle Think Tank as well as Genesis, so we might as well abuse it. It has the witch subclan, like I said, so if you don't like it, just throw it. Get a protect. There's 3 Promised Daughter in here. This one cost me a lot, but she's very cute. Promised Daughter is here for many reasons, and it's mostly offensive ones. Promised Daughter, similarly to Pia, is one of your 2 beat sticks in your deck, while you have 4 more cards in hand when she attacks. Yeah, 4 more. She gains +6. This one is a permanent 10k beater, so when you ride her, you don't have to worry about being stuck on an 8. She'll just change herself to a 10. However, for Promised Daughter, it's a lot different. She stays at 9, but when she attacks, she gains +6. You can use her on, right turn, that's fine. You can use her as a right target if you have to, but usually I keep her defensively because her second ability, she can be targeted, but she cannot be retired. So she is still, she's still prone to, Naru, Kami, and Link Joker, but that's it. Anything else, Blaster Blade, Kagero, Blaster Down, no, she cannot be retired. So she will stay there. If you get a good matchup, she will stay there. She will stay on the board for a very long period of time. And 9 + 6 is 15. It's 15k. And if you boost it with any 8k, literally the whole deck is filled with 8ks. So no matter which grade 1 you boost her with, as long as she's boosted, she will hit a number of 23,000 on the attack. And in case you still haven't realized what I'm going with it, it means your opponent has to guard with 15k or more for Promised Daughter's attack. This is a lot more reliable to me than the Bell Sisters, because you just need 4 and she will instantly help you hit a magic number. Sure, the Bell Sister provides you with a lot more pressure, but it needs 10 or more cards in the hand, which at some point is quite hard to pull off. And remember, that was part of the meta when Link Joker didn't exist, when Messiahs didn't exist, when hell, a lot of the strong decks now didn't exist. Aqua Force was dead. Nova Grappler was gone. So that meta for them, if you're watching those older Coco deck lists, you must remember what meta they were in, and they were in very, very easy metas for Protect to sweep. Now we have to play a lot more conservatively, because if you try those decks, you will be punished. And so that was one of the main reasons why I adopted, I changed my Coco deck. I was playing something similar to them, but after the addition of Promised Daughter, I won a lot more matches because of the high beat stick. But don't just rely on her. But just another thing, Promised Daughter and Restart with Zozo is a very good combo. But even if you're focusing on Coco to get protects to survive through a force deck like Bran, Messiah, Draconic Overload, then you may want to keep her around a bit longer because she can help. And besides, if it's against Overlord, it's even better because Promise Daughter can't be retired. I really forgot this card's name, but this card's insanely good for Coco or for any Oracle Think Tank deck that requires rewriting, which, that's every Oracle Think Tank deck. The skill, when placed, count Soul Blast 1, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, and then after that, add a Great Tree to your hand from the top 5, and then give this card +2. For those of you who are familiar with Shrine Brother Chair, the Blade Master Searcher, you do as much of the skill as possible. So even if you don't manage to you don't manage to find your great tree, you still get the +2, which is a very small compensation, but mainly you are hoping to draw that great tree. This ensures rewriting in almost all aspects. No matter what you are doing with this, you are almost guaranteed the rewrite. Or at least, even in the early game, you can stack great trees for the rewrite. So no matter what, whenever you get this card, just place it, it will help you search for a great tree. And even if it doesn't, it helps you to rearrange the deck, so it can help you in the late game. Very surprisingly, this deck really doesn't deck out often. I'm not going to lie. And even if it does deck out, then you are trying to drag your opponent to a drag match, which you will win, as happened with Brand Messiah. This is Sprout Witch Lulu Koko. No, not Lulu. That's Coco. No, that's Chinese Coco. I don't know the name. Well, whatever. You all go figure out the name. The skill is there's 2 skills. The first skill is after it boosts an attack that hits, counterblast 1. Put this into the soul and draw a card. So pressure. The second one is when it's in the soul. Okay. When the Great Tree is wrote on your Vanguard circle, soul blast a card and call it out. Now, if you use this as your first Great Tree as your first Great 1 and then you go over to this witch, and then you go over to this witch, you get a pretty solid interaction from all 3 grades, 1, 2, and 3. All 3 of the skills will trigger, you will draw 2 cards and get a +1 to the board. That's one thing. The second thing is to note that she can pump herself into the souls from the rear guard. And you can do this technically almost in an infinite loop per turn. So after you call her out, you can suck her back to soul if the attack hits, and then do it again, and then again, we rewrite again and again. So this card has quite a high amount of board presence for a grade 1. And yeah, it's pretty good. On the rear guard, she can help you draw, give you offensive pressure, and as well she can put her back into the soul. So even if you don't want to use her ability to call her back out, you can use her to soul blast. So solid card. Oracle Guardian Gemini, put it into the soul, counter charge as long as your damage zone is 3 or more. Not much to say. It's really a very good toolkit for Oracle Think Tank. It's literally just a soul charge-ish and a counter charger in the same card. So you can play this offensively. You can put this on your board to use it for early boosts and stuff, and as soon as you're running out of resources, just chuck it in and there you go. For PG, because we are budget, I like to advise everybody who's watching it right now, because this deck has not received the latest upgrades from the latest set, the one with the Ganslot cheater guy, the Ganslot VR guy. When Ganslot VR comes, please swap this to the new Kanzen, but we don't have the new Kanzen, so you get the point. Any Kanzen works here. Like I said, I'm too poor, can't afford draw PG, so for draw, regular. For heal, regular. 8 crits. Because this is the only way Coco gets offensive. It's with triggers. Your starter is Losange Mages because she's the cutest starter. And of course you play Protect 1. So yeah, that wraps up my Scarlet Witch Coco deck profile. It's really budget. You can build this under $50. I'm not kidding. I built it under 50. Of course, I did have to pump a bit more for stuff like the Promised Daughter, which was expensive, but for the basic deck of Coco, it's really cheap and affordable, and it is worth it. Coco is is a protect deck that brings the best out of it. A gift, and for obvious reasons, since protect is now the main win condition of the deck, you can easily top all force decks, because no matter how good the force deck is, as you protect them, there's nothing they can do about it. You don't have to worry about dropping cards for your protect. You will be able to draw lots of cards. Rewriting is also not a problem. This deck is truly solid, and it is a defensive deck. I like to remind everybody, you are not going to use, if you're using those older decks, they're really built on a more offensive edge. This deck is truly meant to just tank and survive. That's really all this deck is. Your main is Coco. If you need an offensive push, if you see the fella is struggling and is dying, because he wasted his resources, oops, you can use Zuzu, this guy, and this one to really, and a bit of this one too, and you can pump insane offensive pressure, or not really insane. They're not really overpowered. I'm so sorry. You can pump in relatively decent amounts of power, and you will win. The trick for Coco is simple: know your opponent's deck, and know the turns you are going to be doing in the next few turns. So, like, for example, if you use Coco to stack, like, let's say, two magic gift protects, and you know for a fact that your opponent will be struggling in the turn after that, you may want to keep your protects instead of using it on your opponent's turn, so you can stack it for stuff like her and pump 15k to the front row. So stuff like that, you really need to think ahead of your turns and know the resources you have left at hand. Honestly, other than that, once you manage to pilot this deck well, this deck is insanely overpowered in my opinion. For something so cheap, it is just so good. That's all I'm gonna say. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this really creative deck, which I hope you do, leave a comment and like the video, and I will be creating more deck profiles shortly. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all next time.